Hello everybody, I'm Money Shift, and today we got a banger for you guys. We are comparing two amazing vehicles. On the left, we have the 2024 Acura Integra Type S, and on the right, we have the 2024 Toyota Corolla GR, specifically the Circuit Edition. Now, what I want you to keep in mind in the back of your head is there's about a $7,000 price delta between these two vehicles. So, let's get started with the Corolla. Now, it's in this heavy metal color, and I think it looks absolutely terrific. They couldn't help themselves but stamping something into the bodywork, just like the fine folks at Acura did with the Integra. And on the right, you can see the GR4, which is what Toyota calls the all-wheel drive system in this Corolla. Boxy fender flares and an overall good shape, the traditional hatchback looks solid. The Acura Integra, while also being a hatchback, has a more conventional sedan shape. I'm curious which one you guys like better. I think the Integra side profile just gets it done for me, but that Corolla is a good-looking machine as well. Now, as we make our way to the front of the Acura Integra, we are greeted with a simple, aggressive front end with tons of functional vents and loads of body lines and a functional hood scoop. Looking at the Corolla GR, we are greeted with the same. Lots of vents in here, including flanking that Toyota logo, GR4 stamped into the intercooler, and two functional hood vents as well. I actually do gotta give the front end to the Integra as well, but where the Corolla GR shines, in my view, is the rear end, specifically this rear three-quarter view. These fender flares look insane, and the triple exhaust, one in the center, two on the outskirts, look absolutely terrific. And instead of putting fake vents, they just made that the location of the reflector, and the circuit wing is a must-have if you own the Corolla GR. The rear end of this car is pretty much perfect. Now, that's not to say the rear end of the Integra doesn't get the job done, because the three pipes in the center, the aggressive-looking diffuser, and the rear fenders also look good here, but damn, that Corolla just gets it done. On the front, we're looking at 265 series tires with 4-piston Brembo brakes. By contrast, the Toyota has 235 series tires with 4-piston Akebono brakes. So a bit interesting that the Integra definitely has a little more meat on its bones. Now, because this is the Circuit Edition Toyota Corolla, we get slightly more premium materials, but there is still a lot of gloss black and a lot of hard plastic. These seats, though, are absolutely terrific. Love the Circuit seats, but they are fully manual. In the Integra, we do not get that, and we'll get over to that in a second. Now, we do have a heated steering wheel stock, which I love, and the materials are slightly better, but you could definitely feel like they're trying to put lipstick on a fake luxury interior pig, if that really makes sense. The startup sequence on the full digital instrument cluster looks terrific. I love that they tell you, hey, keep off the gas till the car is warmed up. That's pretty cool. Left side, you have the audio controls. Right side, you have the cruise control, which includes adaptive and lane keep, which is terrific. The steering wheel itself is solid. The materials are great, and it is a little bit thicker than the Acura Integra, and I quite like it. The shifter itself has longer throws than the Integra, but it feels nice, and we'll get into the thoughts as we drive later on. This car does have multiple drive modes: sport, normal, and eco, because for whatever reason, Toyota assumes you're potentially going to drive eco. Anyway, that doesn't matter. Lots of gloss black. You can turn the traction control off. We do have heated seats, which is nice, and we have buttons and knobs for the HVAC, which is also nice. And then we have this infotainment screen, which it looks fine. The fidelity isn't so hot, but it is what it is, and you get a physical handbrake, which is nice. I wish I had that in the Acura Integra. Now, this actually changes the sensitivity on where the power is going for that all-wheel drive system. You could either send 60 to the front, 40 to the rear, 30 to the front, 70 to the rear, or track mode, which is 50-50. Looking at the rear door card, it actually is exactly the same as the front door card, which can't be said for a lot of other vehicles. Getting into this vehicle, I am sitting behind myself. I'm 6 feet tall. My legs are touching the seat in front of me. Now, we do have some power outlets for the rear seat, but there are no vents here to keep the rear cool. Nothing on the pillars, nothing in the center, which is a bit annoying. Looking at the headroom though, because this car is a little bit taller, I actually do have some headroom. My head isn't touching the ceiling, and we do get an armrest to put our hands, which is nice. It's good to have something that's a little bit higher. The materials are great, and you do get 2 map pockets, so overall, not a bad place to be. By contrast, looking at the Acura Integra, you definitely, right out of the gate, get a more premium experience. The materials used on this door card are a slight tier above that of the Corolla GR. The padding where you put your arm is a little more robust. The top trim, the top materials are just a little bit better than that in the Corolla. This is where that $7,000 delta starts to come into play. Looking at the seat, it's definitely a little bit wider here in the Integra. It's a little more comfortable. It doesn't have as much bolstering, but it is power, and it is also leather and Alcantara, just like that Corolla GR. So we get things like lumbar support, and we get a lot of adjustability, which you just do not get in that Corolla GR. So I love that we do get it here in this Integra. I like the Type S sill, and we'll just flash this really quickly. 265 series tires all around. Insane for a front-wheel drive machine. Getting in this car, though, is similar to the Corolla GR. We get a flashy startup sequence that shows off the fact that, hey, you're in a Type S, a cut above from the regular Acura experience. Start it up, and we are greeted with a dash that is more conventional than that of the Corolla GR. We do not get temperature readouts, though, which is a little bit frustrating, like you do in the GR. Left side, just like the Corolla, is for the audio controls, but you also can control the left side of the monitor. The right side gives you adaptive and radar cruise, which is really great, and you can also control the right side of that display. All of that is solid, no complaints here. We do not get a heated steering wheel standard. That is an added option, unlike the Circuit Edition Corolla. The materials, again, not that the GR Corolla has a bad steering wheel, but the materials in this steering wheel are just a half step above and feel a little bit more premium than that Corolla. And all that premiumness carries over. It carries over to the switchgear used for the lights. It carries over for the switchgear used for the HVAC. It carries over to the infotainment. It carries over to the audio system. It carries over to everything. And that is where the $7,000 difference comes into play. So if you're looking at both of these cars and trying to understand, is the price difference worth it? If you want that more premium experience, it definitely is. Now, sitting behind myself in this Acura Integra, I can, but my head hits the top. That is where the sloped roof sort of bites you in the rear in this Acura Integra. So, getting behind both of these cars, you now know the differences in the outside, you now know the differences in the inside, but let's get behind the wheel of the Toyota Corolla, and let's do some first drive raw impressions of that car and compare it to my Acura Integra Type S. And I promise you, there is no bias behind this video, just raw impressions and driving thoughts of this Corolla.
Avoid excessive acceleration due to temperature. Yes, Toyota. no problem. Definitely a heavier clutch right out the gate. I like the steering in low speed scenarios. It feels super light, which is nice around town. The clutch is definitely heavier. Wow. Let's see the shifter. Okay, it's, wow, man, this does feel like a tuner car clutch versus my Integra. It's just very, very light. This is super heavy by comparison. Holy cow. Let's see how it handles this little bump here. You know, not too bad. Not too bad. We're double clutching on downshifts out of respect. Out of respect. At 0, you hear the exhaust a lot more than the Integra. Let's see if we can get it on camera. Overall, I do like this steering wheel. It's not as premium as the Integra, that's for sure, but it's a good material and a great width, girth, if you will. Great turbo noise. Listen to that. Oh man, this car's hilarious. What the heck? Look at that turning radius. Not too bad, Toyota. All right. And let's go back to our starting point. We'll get more extensive thoughts later, but right now the quick impression, okay? The steering in low speed scenarios is very light. This is good for parking lot maneuverability, tight city maneuverability. The Integra is consistent throughout, which is interesting, right? It's an interesting call that Toyota did to make that. I do quite like this gauge cluster. I like having the turbo PSI over there. I like having the temperature over there. I like having a tax street in the center. That is very nice. This shifter, not as good in my opinion as the Integra, but great. A lot better than something out of a Volkswagen or a Subaru product. This definitely is second place in my heart to the Integra for sure. Let's see if we'll get a little daylight here. We can give it a little throttle. Shift into second. And we'll lean into the boost here. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Not too bad. Sounds good. I like the sound of this 3-cylinder turbo engine, and that turbo noise is hilarious. You hear a little turbo in the Integra, a little slight, but you don't hear it like you do in this car. That person's gonna go for it. Look at that. What a driver. Again, the interesting thing with this car is that clutch. That clutch, it feels like I'm driving a modified Civic. Not in a bad way, it's just a slightly heavy clutch. I like it. I like the fact that you get adaptive cruise control in this car. I like the fact that you get a lane keep system in this car. I do like, you know, that it's buttons and knobs for the HVAC. I don't necessarily like all the gloss black everywhere. I love this handbrake here. That is fantastic. Overall, man, this is a good machine, and I think the circuit has the necessary upgrades material-wise that just get this car into the Golf R, Civic Type R conversation. I think the core and the performance sort of keep it in the Elantra and GTI category, but getting that circuit package gives you that material boost you need in order to really be considered a car that should be priced in that $40,000 range. Seat definitely feels super high. We are in the lowest setting. It feels like I'm driving that MDX in front of me. In the Integra, I sort of feel cradled. I feel like I'm in a sports car. Honestly, it feels very BMW-esque in that Integra for sure. There's a lot about this car that's very reminiscent of Subarus, but what isn't, quite frankly, is the good bits. It's the engine, it's this transmission. Shout out to Vahe, Mr. NE Motor Guy. Definitely give him a follow if you guys are looking for more Corolla GR content and maybe more Integra content in the future. The man knows how to modify a machine, and word has it, he's going to be modifying this Corolla GR extensively, so definitely give him a follow if you guys want to see some more Corolla content.
So where does that leave us with the GR versus the Integra? Well, I gotta be honest with you guys. The comparison between these two cars is pretty similar to the comparison a lot of folks make with the Golf R and the Audi S3. While they might seem like competitors, they aren't actually, and that genuinely surprised me going into this. The Integra Type S feels more premium, well, because it is. So it justifies that $7,000 price tag. That's not to say the GR Corolla isn't a great machine, but if you're looking for something more premium, the Integra gives you that. And I'm happy that's where I parked my dollars. But if you want to tune, if you want to modify, the GR gets the job done.